In this video, two teenagers headed to Westfield Brandon Mall for what they expected to be an unremarkable afternoon. Security cameras captured them moving through the building, talking, browsing, drifting through the foot traffic, the way people do when nothing is wrong. Somewhere in the same space, a man and a woman had already fixed their attention on them. Nothing about the pair announced itself as unusual. They looked like anyone else in the mall that day. The reality of what was happening only emerged later, when investigators went back through the footage and mapped out everyone's movements. At that point, it became clear that two adults hadn't simply ended up near the teenagers by chance. They had tracked them through the building. When the teenagers eventually made their way out of the mall and got into their vehicle, the two suspects reversed course. They returned to a small gray SUV and pulled out to the area behind the teens. The environment that had surrounded them, other shoppers, open corridors, visibility in every direction, was gone. They drove into Valrico, a quieter neighborhood, and the distance from other people grew. That was when the male suspect moved toward their car with a firearm and fired in the direction of the passenger side. The bullet connected with the vehicle. Neither teenager was struck. That gap between what happened and what could have happened was enough. They accelerated away and drove to police to report the attack. Investigators built their case from the mall's camera system, working backward through the footage to document where the suspects had been when they had started following the teenagers, and how the sequence inside the building connected to the shooting outside it. Roughly a week after the incident, the male suspect was named as Roger Okijio Colon, 23, and taken into custody. The charges against him included aggravated assault with a firearm, shooting into an occupied vehicle, carrying a concealed weapon, and driving with a suspended license. The female suspect's identity had not been released publicly at the time of reporting. What the surveillance system captured is the part of this case the teenagers had no access to while it was unfolding. The moment the attention started, the path the suspects took through the mall, the decision to follow them to their car, all of that was on camera. None of it was visible to the two people it was directed at. The next video shows a crazy turn of events. In this short clip I found on Instagram, you'd think this cat is in danger, but no, this cat is in fact a danger. The cat sent the dog running, quite badass if you ask me. That may have been satisfying to some of you, but that won't be the case in this next clip. A video started moving across social media in 2025, footage of two men carrying badly damaged human remains from the ocean onto a beach. The clip spread fast and spread without explanation, and people encountering it struggled to understand what they were actually looking at. In the absence of any context, the internet constructed its own. Shark attack was among the most circulated theories. Others suggested the person had drowned first and that the condition of the remains was a result of time spent in the water afterward, both attributed to online speculation and neither confirmed by official sources or reporting. The actual story behind the footage didn't require any additions. The person who died was Alejandro Gonzalez, 20 years old, from Michigan. He had traveled to Cancun, Mexico with a group of friends. A vacation, warm weather, open water, the kind of trip people take without expecting anything out of the ordinary. On April 20th, 2025, one of his friends got into difficulty in the water and began struggling to keep himself afloat. Alejandro went in after him. His family later said he managed to get his friend back toward shore and safety. Doing that required him to put himself directly in the path of the same current that had caught his friend, and that current didn't let him go the same way. He was carried out from shore. He disappeared into the water. For 3 days following that, his family and the others who had come on the trip waited in Cancun while search teams worked the area. Back in Michigan, the people who had known Alejandro throughout his life described someone with a creative mind, a kind disposition, and the kind of loyalty that would make going into dangerous water for a friend feel less like a choice and more like a reflex. His body was recovered on April 23rd, 3 days after he was last seen. Confirmed reports established drowning as a cause and make no finding consistent with a shark attack. What circulated online was centered on the images and what people believed they were seeing in them. The confirmed account was something quieter and more direct. The 20-year-old went into the ocean to bring his friend back, succeeded in doing that, and didn't survive the current that followed him in. Brace yourself because it only gets more disturbing from here. What follows is footage of a fire truck responding to a fire, an incident significant enough that multiple people at different locations captured it from separate angles, one from a distance and one from close range as it unfolded. Watch this.
Só não dá conta não, filho. Manda vir a empresa toda, o bagulho tá louco. Só não vai dar conta não. Tá que pariu, viu? Ah, porra! Explodiu a linha, rapaz. Eita porra! Eita caralho! A tampa, eu acho que os lixos.
Porra!
Essa porra!
In Itaqua, Brazil, a large fire broke out at a solvent factory and triggered a series of manhole explosions across the surrounding area. The scale of the incident drew a firefighter response, and the events were captured simultaneously by two separate individuals, one observing from a distance and one positioned close enough to be present as the explosions happened. According to official reports, no injuries resulted from the incident. The two different vantage points show the same event from opposite ends of the scene, one establishing the broader scale of what was unfolding, the other documenting what it looked and sounded like at close range. Delaware State Police Trooper Hassan Hollis was stationed near a highway on-ramp, keeping watch over a stalled vehicle while waiting for a tow truck to arrive. A routine assignment, the kind that typically ends with paperwork in a cleared lane. A radio alert came through while he was there, asking officers in the area to watch for a red Buick connected to a missing woman from Boston. Within moments of that alert, a vehicle matching the description passed directly by its position. Hollis left the stalled car behind, pulled onto the highway, and began following the Buick. As he closed the distance, he confirmed the plate over radio while requesting backup. The vehicle was tied to the disappearance of Jassy Correa, 22 years old, a young mother who had vanished days earlier after leaving a Boston nightclub. Once backup had moved into a position close enough to support the stop, Hollis initiated it on Interstate 95 near Wilmington, Delaware. Louis D. Coleman III, the driver, stepped out of the vehicle. The stop opened the way many traffic stops do, controlled, procedural, nothing immediately alarming. That changed when Hollis asked whether anyone else was inside the car. Coleman's answer directed the trooper toward the trunk. Officers opened it and found a suitcase. Inside was Jassy Correa. A radio alert received during a routine roadside call had led to the discovery of a murder victim hundreds of miles from the city where she had last been seen alive. Investigators later established that Coleman had approached Jassy outside a Boston nightclub on the night she disappeared, after she had become separated from the people she had arrived with, attributed to investigators. According to prosecutors, he persuaded her that he was offering her a ride and then drove her to his apartment in Providence, Rhode Island. Surveillance, footage, and purchase records placed him acquiring items consistent with concealing and moving a body: a large suitcase, duct tape, protective gear, and cleaning supplies. On June 1, 2022, Coleman was convicted of kidnapping resulting in death. On October 11, 2022, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The radio alert is the point the case runs back to. A broadcast went out to officers in the area, a trooper who happened to be in a position to hear it and act on it within seconds, and the specific discovery that following it produced. Our next case shows heart-stopping footage from police officers in a dire situation. Keep watching because you don't want to miss it.
Going home?
A lot of blood, dude.
Get off of her! This woman's tore to
badly, like you can see her bones. Pieces of her everywhere.
They were eating her. I bet if they did autopsies, she's in their gut.
One morning in November 2023, police in Fort Dodge, Iowa received a call from a residential neighborhood. Someone had reported a woman screaming for help. Officers had no clear picture of what they were heading toward. When they arrived and saw what was in the yard, the scene was disturbing enough that even trained responders struggled to process it.
Get off of her! Get off of her! Don't. It's gonna
A woman was on the ground being attacked by multiple dogs. Officers moved toward her immediately, shouting at the animals. The dogs did not stop. According to police, 3 pit bulls were involved in the attack. When officers attempted to close the distance, the dogs redirected toward them as well. Within seconds, the situation had become a fight to keep the woman alive. One officer discharged a weapon, putting down the dogs that were actively attacking. Even after the first shots, it wasn't over. One of the animals was still moving and still orienting back toward her. The woman was barely responsive, badly injured, and the officers, unseen, struggled to describe what they were looking at.
roll away. Can you roll away? I put 3 dogs down. She's in bad shape. Can we roll her? Roll, can you roll? Can we pull her away?
Yeah. Maybe.
No, see 2132.
What's your name?
Is everybody else inside?
We're at 823. I don't know.
2122. If there's other units here, we'll need to get
I know,
here.
honey. Lace up for us.
Emergency responders worked to get her onto a stretcher as fast as possible while simultaneously watching the yard, the house, and the other animals still present.
Nope. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Hang on, hang on. Could you move her?
Watch it.
I got it. I got it.
Go on the bird. Ricochet.
Yep, I got it, I got it.
Gotcha.
Turn around.
She's done.
What's up?
Once he stops moving a little bit, I'm going to pull him out from under the top.
Yep, just wait.
Officers then heard barking from inside the home. That indicated more dogs could be inside. There was still no confirmation of whether anyone else in the house required help.
Here's another dog, so. Do you live here? All right, no, that's fine. Careful. Oh, see 2132. Just so you know, there was multiple shots fired. I got attacked by 3 dogs.
While medics transported the woman away, officers prepared to enter the building.
Reload. Anyone home? Anyone home? There's another dog, but I can't see it.
There's a white pit bull upstairs that was standing in the window when all this was going out watching us.
Huh?
Is the dog definitely upstairs, or?
It was.
It sounded like there's
Standing in the window before when we were out here. I don't know if he come down. I don't know if he's gonna come down. I don't know if he's just sitting up there scared or what.
They moved through carefully. The attack appeared to have originated from inside. Blood was visible near the entrance. At least one more dog was potentially somewhere above them on the upper floor.
I'm gonna pull this out. Watch me. I'm not hurt.
What is her? Here.
Well, she's
You can see bones on her ankles and legs. And
these dogs were
attacking her. She's
ripping her apart.
she's ripped to
Literally,
shreds.
she's ripped to shreds.
Paramedics in there?
No,
Oh no.
she's in the.
She's in the ambulance that took off, or there, maybe I don't know.
There's more dogs here, but we don't know if there's other people that is here that need help.
And this obviously happened inside, so we're guessing she is one of the residents, but she wasn't able to talk to us.
She said that guy over there said there's a male and a female that live here, and that was the female, but right?
We don't know
Yep.
if there's anybody else inside.
Yeah.
Which
We
would
do
be.
know that there's dogs inside.
I'm a crossover.
There's a door laying on the ground here that can maybe be used as a barricade.
I'm just gonna clear the first half here. It looks like this is where it started.
I'm gonna step in with you. Is there anybody here? I'm gonna yank you out if this dog comes down.
I'm gonna shoot the damn
All right.
thing. Yep, I can hear it.
Anybody in here?
All right, I'm backing up.
Nobody knew whether another victim was somewhere in the house. Officers were still working to establish who the injured woman was.
Was laying where you found her. She was laying right here, and they were ripping her. Like I pull up, they were ripping her. As I pull up and ran towards them, I was yelling, and 2 of them look up, charge at me, drop this one. That one came after me, dropped this one. He wouldn't let her go, so I pull him over here, shot it. He ran inside, and then that one got up and ran off, but then came back around and ran at me again, and I shot it 2 more times, and then I shot this one.
If you guys can figure out a name.
All right. LC 21.
Neighbors had begun congregating outside and told officers the dogs had been a source of concern in the area for years.
I got a video.
He's the one who
him
called
getting dragged
911.
out. Yep.
I know that wasn't fun to do. Yeah, my condolences.
That's all right. Do what you got to do, right?
No,
Yeah.
I understand this. We've complained about these dogs for years.
One neighbor managed to contact someone connected to the residence and informed him his mother had been attacked. That introduced further uncertainty. Officers still were not certain whether the woman was a resident, a visitor, or someone who had entered during the owner's absence.
On the phone with old boy that lives here, his son. I didn't like send no video or nothing like that, but like I just let him know his mom got attacked. I'm guessing that's what happened with the dogs, obviously. And he's the only other person that lives here with her. So
was he coming here?
I don't know. I'm guessing. I mean, I'm letting you know because he's probably going to. You know what I mean? He's probably going to show up. He ain't give me no problem, but like the biggest problem, he'll probably definitely need to be watched. He'll probably try to up like constantly, you know.
Yeah.
He's kind of.
Okay.
Just mental health wise.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, man.
Yep.
All right. Have a good one.
Every piece of new information made the situation less clear rather than more. What remained constant was that the woman's injuries were severe enough that officers on scene could not stop referencing them.
I mean, she is there. Yep. It is bad.
Was it?
It's like bad. There's a chunk of her heel down here.
Of her what?
Put that
Heel.
down.
You can see her bones.
Make sure you get a
Like-
photo of that too. Okay. Yeah,
The meat on her legs.
Until, may not. That's what.
She is. Yeah, they ripped her up. Her pieces of her is everywhere.
Oh yeah.
There's what?
Pieces of her everywhere.
Yeah, they were eating her.
Yeah.
I bet if they did autopsies, she's in their guts.
I just stepped on something and I looked down at it and I'm like, oh, that's like
Meat?
Yeah.
The calf muscle.
They described significant damage to her legs and body. Clothing and tissue were scattered across the yard. Multiple officers said it appeared the dogs had not simply bitten her. The attack had gone further than that. Even after she was removed from the scene, the situation on the ground remained active. Animal control arrived and entered the house alongside officers to remove the animals still inside.
You want to cover the top? There's one.
Yep.
There's one upstairs and one down here.
Okay, there's one back here too. But there's a bunch of bikes in the way, so.
Watch.
Oh, hi, baby. It's okay.
This?
I don't think so. Hi. It's okay. It's okay. Oh no, that's so scary, huh?
The conditions inside were poor. More animals were found, including dogs that appeared to have been hungry and neglected.
I was like, that's a puppy?
I think she's saying just had puppies.
She's covered in yellow, Carl. Can you take pictures? Do you have your phone handy?
Yeah.
Can you take pictures of the inside of that crate? You're okay. We're gonna go for a ride.
You're coming out.
Good job. Oh, yep, you're hungry. Go get your food in a bit. What can we do? Can we get pictures of her feet? You got your shoes?
I don't.
I don't have anything.
Can we just take her outside?
Okay. Can you hold her? Oh, we're so hungry. Here, right here, Mama. Good job.
I'm gonna slide and fall.
Oh my goodness. I know. We're hungry. You're emaciated, Mama.
Those dogs are not taken care of at all. I'm like stepping in something. I look down and there's covered.
I know, you're so hungry. Look at you. Good job.
Yep.
At some point, the victim's phone rang inside the house. An officer answered it. The woman calling screamed and demanded to know where her mother was.
Just answered the phone. The person just screams, "Where's my mom?"
She is. That's bad.
Kayla was saying bit to the bone.
Yeah. Yo.
Brittany's skull blend.
Yeah.
That's who she is. Daughter's on the phone in there.
That's who that was. Brittany.
I believe so.
Let me look at the photo. I seen her. So.
Who's the victim?
Might be Brittany Skolin.
Okay. We deal with rascals all the time.
I wonder if she'd come to visit then.
And the phone is, her phone was ringing, right?
Normally it's
Did you
just
answer it?
Junior
Yeah,
and
I was able to. It's Haley or something.
Yeah.
That's her daughter.
They live.
It bounces back and forth.
They live just over here.
Officers were now able to identify the victim, Brittany Scotland. Her injuries required life flight transport to a hospital approximately 100 miles away in Des Moines. According to a fundraiser established by her family, Brittany sustained serious head trauma, had both legs amputated below the knee, and would require reconstruction surgery, attributed to the family fundraiser.
What happened when you rolled up?
Oh, they were
Just gnawing on her?
just ripping her.
Jeez.
Like, dude, you can see her bones.
Oh my God.
Like, it is bad.
You said that chunk's part of her heel?
Yeah. There's more here. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Is that girl her, the name I gave you, do you think?
I think so.
Okay. I'm sure it was hard to tell.
Yeah, no, I mean, she was chewed to bits.
For the officers who responded that morning, what they encountered bore no resemblance to a routine call. They had arrived to find a woman being mauled in real time, animals charging at them when they tried to intervene, more dogs audible inside the house, a scene violent enough to visibly affect people who had been trained for exactly this kind of situation. Investigators later concluded that no criminal act had taken place. Officials said Brittany had entered the home while the owner was away and was attacked by the dogs while she was alone inside with them. In December 2023, Webster County officials announced no charges would be filed. None of that framing changed what the officers had run toward. There was no time to piece together a sequence of events, no time to hold back and evaluate. Only a woman on the ground, 3 dogs in the yard, and a decision that had to be made in seconds. The phone call from inside the house is a detail the response doesn't let go of. An officer picking up a victim's cell phone inside a building still being cleared, and a daughter screaming on the other end asking where her mother was. That call came in while the yard was still being processed and the house hadn't been fully checked, and it put a human voice to everything the officers were trying to manage at once. The footage shows a large group of people, at least 8, visible within a single frame, and the camera work is unstable and difficult to track. That instability is a direct reflection of the conditions under which the recording was made. Take a look. Many villages across India exist within or adjacent to leopard habitat, but leopard encounters are not limited to those areas. Villages well outside their typical range also experience them. In some documented cases, leopards in human-populated areas have developed patterns of specifically targeting people once they identify humans as accessible prey, a phenomenon that has been observed and recorded across the region. Whether this incident involved an animal exhibiting that behavior is not confirmed by the available footage. What the recording shows is a large and chaotic response from a group of people. What prompted it and what the outcome was are not fully established by the clip alone. Miguel is a Reddit user who works as a janitor at a security building in Phoenix, Arizona. According to him, this wasn't the first time something unexplained had occurred while he was working there. He had already noticed stall doors slamming shut in bathrooms he was certain were empty, and had experienced a sense of something present nearby when he was supposed to be the only person on a floor. These kinds of incidents don't always produce footage, and they're easy to dismiss from outside the situation, but they establish a context for what happened next. A coworker at the same building was frightened enough that she didn't want to go to a specific floor on her own, and Miguel agreed to accompany her. When they arrived at the 7th floor, a loud banging sound reached them from somewhere farther down the hallway, consistent with a door slamming somewhere out of view. Miguel got out his phone and began recording.
Did you see it?
The camera pointed down a still hallway for a moment before anything moved. Then a dark, shadowy figure came around the corner and stepped into the frame, and almost immediately appeared to stop and pull back, as if something about Miguel's reaction had been noticed. The figure was in frame briefly, but long enough to be clearly visible and to produce an immediate physical reaction from Miguel, who jumped back startled. According to his account, he and his coworker were the only 2 people on that floor at the time. If that is accurate, nothing in the hallway should have produced that shape. Possible explanations include a shadow cast at the right angle, a reflection in the light conditions of the corridor, or an artifact introduced by the camera. The sequence the clip captures, the bang before the camera was even out, the quiet of the hallway, the figure appearing and seeming to respond to being seen, is what keeps it from being easily explained away. The co-worker's refusal to go to that floor alone is a detail that sits underneath all of it. Her fear was established before Miguel's phone was out and before anything appeared on camera. Whatever showed up around that corner, the fear that brought them both to that floor preceded it.
I got hit. I need fire rescue.
Get a tourniquet on. Now.
Yes, no. I know. You cannot move right now.
Get on the ground! Use this officer! I didn't mean to. He lost both of his legs.
In the early morning hours of October 18, 2023, officers in Montgomery County, Maryland were already dealing with a driver they recognized. The vehicle was a lime green Dodge Challenger. According to the police, the person behind the wheel was Rafael Mayorga, 19 years old. Earlier that same night, an officer had attempted to stop the Challenger after it rolled through a red light. Rather than pulling over, the driver killed his headlights and taillights, accelerated onto the highway, and was gone at over 100 miles per hour. For the officers involved, this was not the profile of an ordinary reckless driver.
Don't you do it. That green Challenger that we've had problems with, I just had him take off from me. Blacked out his lights, 270, over 100 miles an hour. I am not in pursuit.
Mayorga had allegedly developed a pattern of behavior on Interstate 270, provoking officers, operating at dangerous speeds, and actively trying to draw police into pursuit situations. When the Challenger reappeared later that night, officers understood they needed to stop him before someone died. They also understood that chasing a car at those speeds would create its own dangers.
Whiskey 10, can you advise the location?
Yeah, we're at the Clarksburg outlets, 270 South. He's just sitting at the entrance revving his engine, getting ready to jump on the 270 South, but we're not going after him at this moment.
No, bro. You gotta back up and come around.
Direct LB on 270 at,
Oh, yes, baby. Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's backing down the 270 exit right now. He's going to probably try to come around and do another loop. We'll let you know. I'm going to set up over here. Stay right here. 32, he's getting on the 270 northbound at the moment.
He's 1060 driving, have a license, and a bunch of other charges.
Rather than direct pursuit, they coordinated a stop stick deployment. Sergeant Kemp positioned himself at one point on the highway while a second officer held another set farther down the road. The plan was to disable the vehicle before the night produced a fatality.
Sure, we're authorized to stop stick him right off the bat. Don't even try. Matter of fact, too, if we can box him in, not roadblock, we can box him in, that'd be even better to force him to take an exit.
Box him in, you start ramming the cruiser, first degree assault.
Straight up.
The plan collapsed within seconds. Sergeant Kemp's voice came over the radio. He had been struck and was calling for fire rescue immediately.
You 10, I got hit. I need fire rescue.
Officers nearby moved toward his location as fast as they could. When they arrived, it was immediately apparent that what had happened to Sergeant Kemp was not a minor impact. He was on the highway, critically injured, having been hit by the Challenger at speed.
Hey, we got fire rescue coming, all right? It looks like you've been in a crash. Hey, don't. Hey, get stay down. Stay down, Sarge.
Sarge,
Sarge.
Back.
Sarge, stay down.
Get a tourniquet on.
Officers and medics surrounded him, working to keep him conscious, responsive, and still while additional help was on the way. His injuries were catastrophic. One leg had been severed and was lying in the road. The other was severely mangled beneath him. One officer held his head and kept instructing him to stay awake while others worked on controlling the bleeding and preparing him for transport. Even for personnel trained for violent scenes, what they were looking at was nearly impossible to process. A witness seated in the back of a cruiser called someone on the phone and began trying to describe what he was watching.
I just watched a police officer get hit by a Charger.
What the
He lost both of his legs.
What the
And I think he might die, bro.
Cap, keep your eyes open. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to hear it over and over, but I'm going to keep saying it over and over.
You're good. Bro, his muscle matter was literally on the floor, bro. Like his legs are, both of his lower legs are torn off. Like his ankles past to his shin below.
Middle of his shin below is torn off.
That's crazy.
No, but this Loki has me shook. I ain't gonna lie, bro.
Can I pray?
Yep.
God, right now I lift Cup's life up for you, to you. We know that you are a healer, and you are a good God. We don't understand why things happen, but we know that you have a plan. Keep still. Don't move. Do not move. I know you want to. Keep your eyes open.
Fire rescue.
I would love to know that. Yeah, no. I know. You cannot move right now.
He got hit, fool. Like, when I say he got whacked and went straight into the guardrail. I hate to even tell you any more details, but I seen this muscle. His literally the muscle, so I guess like his calf muscle down to his Achilles sitting on the floor.
While officers were working to keep Sergeant Kemp alive, the Challenger was still moving down the highway. Farther along the road, another officer deployed stop sticks and connected with a vehicle.
32.
The Challenger came to a stop. Mayorga and his teenage passenger got out, crossed the guardrail, and attempted to flee on foot.
Get on the ground now! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground! On the ground! You get on the ground now. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
They didn't get far. An officer brought them both to the ground and took them into custody. Mayorga said immediately that he had not intended what had happened. The officer was not receptive.
Give me your arm. This is abuse. Get on the ground. Use this as an officer. I didn't need to. Why are you abusing me? Why are you abusing me? 32, I have him in custody. 270 northbound on left-hand shoulder. You put a picture on my picture.
Sir, you got a placemaker, sir.
I know you don't give a one. I know you don't give a Stop talking. I have freedom of speech. Your freedom of speech is you being arrested for first-degree assault on an officer. Good luck with that. I didn't mean to. Good luck with that. Think it's a game out here? And I'm gonna tell you right now, he gets hurt and he dies, guess what? You're going to jail for murder. You understand that? Never in my life have I ever got that angry. You're over here playing with people's lives on this road, and you're riding with them thinking it's okay? And guess what now? You're just as much an accomplice as him. You want to talk about you heard you got medical conditions after doing that? You think anybody's worried about your medical conditions? You come stand over here with them. Idiot.
Sergeant Kemp, on the highway with both legs destroyed, was still conscious. He was issuing instructions over the radio, directing officers to close down the highway to clear a landing zone for the helicopter.
Call 270 to the chopper.
I've asked.
God, I'm a dumb. Shut it all down.
Shut it all down.
Vicky, it's fine. I know it's wrong.
You're not dying.
No, I said it's fine.
Okay. I'm just making sure that you know fire rescue's finally here.
Good. Get me on.
Oh, we're getting you on a helicopter. You don't treat our family like this.
God, I'm stupid.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
He's conscious.
He is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you in pain right now?
My legs, obviously.
You are aware there's a...
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, I'm going to move back slightly so they can evaluate you, but
Can you stay with me?
I will be with you every step of the way. I'm going to move back just slightly.
How's your head? You get knocked unconscious?
No, sir.
Any injuries on the front of your body that you know
Not that I know of. I'm starting to get massive pain in my legs.
Who's trying to get through? We're good.
We're starting IV on you, okay? Quick.
Who do you want me to call? Anyone? Huh? Okay. Got it. They need us coming. Okay.
Phyllis and Tim.
Okay.
They're gonna be freaked out.
Yeah, I'll wait till, you know.
Thank you.
He wants to give me some.
Alright, that medicine's coming.
You're amazing.
How you doing, brother? You alright?
Yeah, just a lot of pain, obviously.
Okay. Got you. We got you.
A helicopter arrived and transported Sergeant Kemp to hospital. In a subsequent interview, Mayorga admitted he had been part of illegal street racing activity that night. He described going to a local car wash where racers assembled, exchanged bets, and set up challenges. According to his account, the specific bet that night wasn't just about speed, it was about successfully evading police.
It was racing and get away from a cop.
Both?
Yes, sir.
What was the bet?
It was $2,000.
Mayorga also admitted he had been circling Interstate 270, deliberately attempting to draw officers into pursuit, operating under the belief that reaching extreme speeds would discourage police from following. He mentioned one officer by name that he recognized from a prior encounter, Sergeant Kemp, who had previously dealt with him when he was younger and had fled from police in a different vehicle. Investigators then told Mayorga something he had not known. The officer he had hit on the highway that night was Sergeant Kemp, the same officer who had been trying to get him off the road.
No other way to tell you. So the officer you hit tonight is Sergeant Kemp. He's the officer in the hospital right now. We know for a fact he's going to lose one leg. We hope that that's in a way. That we're in this position where we hope that that's it. We hope that he'll make it out there with one leg as an amputee, but we don't know. But the officer that you've known for a couple of years, and he seems like for a while he's been kind of made a project to get you off the street, to make sure that you're not doing what you're doing, and this is what happened. It's kind of a sick twist or irony in a way. What do you think?
What you just said, sir.
You didn't know that was him tonight?
No, sir.
Alright.
Police records indicated Mayorga was traveling approximately 162 miles per hour at the moment of impact with Sergeant Kemp, attributed to police records. Kemp survived. The crash resulted in the traumatic amputation of both of his legs.
I think I'm gonna hold my daughter again.
Yeah, you will.
What's gonna happen till I go over?
We have it, and
How bad is it?
I have not seen it, or else I'll tell you.
I'm not allowed to see it.
Well, you're not gonna see it today.
Mayorga was subsequently convicted on multiple charges: second-degree assault, leaving the scene of an accident involving serious injury, attempting to elude police, fleeing on foot, and driving without a license. He received a sentence of 22 years plus 60 days. Sergeant Kemp's story continued past that highway. After extensive treatment, rehabilitation, and the process of learning to use prosthetic legs, he returned to service with the Montgomery County Police Department. What makes this case particularly disturbing is what it was before it became a tragedy. A teenager who had decided the highway was a competition, who had placed a bet that night on outrunning law enforcement, who had been circling the same stretch of road looking for the confrontation he wanted. The moment investigators told Mayorga that the officer he had struck was Sergeant Kemp, the same officer who had already tried to intervene in his behavior before, is a detail the case keeps returning to. The name that had been part of his history with police became the name attached to what happened on the highway when his bet ran out. How irresponsible can you be? This was a very sad case, wouldn't you agree? The crazy thing is, you can argue what happened in Philadelphia in this next clip is even sadder. In the evening of January 31st, 2025, a Learjet 55 operating as a small air ambulance departed Northeast Philadelphia Airport with 6 people on board: 2 pilots, 2 medical crew members, an 11-year-old girl who had just completed a course of treatment at Shriners Children's Philadelphia, and her mother. The planned route took them from Philadelphia to Tijuana, Mexico, with a scheduled refueling stop in Springfield, Missouri. The departure appeared normal from the ground. The aircraft climbed to approximately 1,650 feet before flight data showed it beginning to lose altitude rapidly. No distress call was transmitted by either pilot. Less than a minute after leaving the runway, the jet struck a residential and commercial area near Roosevelt Mall in Northeast Philadelphia. The impact generated a massive fireball. Homes, vehicles, and businesses in the immediate vicinity were hit by the initial strike and by the fire and debris that spread from it across several city blocks. Emergency services responded to a scene where survival for anyone on board was not possible. All 6 people on the aircraft were killed. 2 individuals on the ground also died as a result of the crash. More than 20 others on the ground were injured. The 11-year-old patient had been receiving medical treatment in Philadelphia for months. She'd completed that treatment and was being transported home with her mother when the aircraft went down in the opening seconds of the flight. In the course of the investigation, a significant finding emerged regarding the aircraft's equipment, the cockpit voice recorder, the device specifically designed to capture crew communications, and the sounds present in the cockpit during the flight had not recorded the accident. According to the NTSB, the device had most likely not been capturing audio for a number of years before the crash occurred. No cockpit audio was available to investigators, no distress call existed on record, no final communication from the crew. The investigation remains active and ongoing. The cockpit voice recorder is the instrument that exists to answer the first question any crash inquiry asks. What was the crew experiencing? What were they communicating? And what were they doing in the final moments? That instrument was on the aircraft. It recorded nothing that night, and the silence it produced is the only record it left of what happened between 1,650 feet and the ground. Security camera footage from a home in Kurilka, a small village in Ukraine, captured an event that falls well outside what residential CCTV systems are designed to record. The property is located approximately 150 kilometers from the front lines of the conflict. A malfunctioning air defense missile came down on the grounds and moved through the garden before coming to rest. The audio from security camera does not contain the sound of the explosion. This may reflect the recording equipment's limitations or something about how the sound registered at the distance from the sensor. Either way, the visual record is there. A house in a small Ukrainian village at a distance most people would consider removed from direct exposure, with a military projectile on the ground inside the property boundary. On November 15, 2025, security officers working a college football game received a report that a man in the stands was being aggressive toward an 8-year-old child, attributed to the report. This was not a call from a residence or a stopped vehicle. It was unfolding in a stadium with thousands of people present and a game actively happening nearby. Officers moved into position to observe the man before making any direct contact. According to one of the officers, the man appeared to be intoxicated and was being extremely rough with the child, putting the boy in what looked like a headlock, grabbing him around the neck and causing him visible discomfort. The officer decided to pull him out of the seating area and speak with him away from the crowd. The moment that approach was made, the man refused to engage with it.
Yeah, you're good. Excuse me. Hey, come in. Hey, can you step out here and talk to me? No, I'm not asking. No. Hey, no, you're coming. Arrest me there, bro. Stop. Hey, that down.
Rather than stepping out to have a conversation, he immediately challenged the officer, said that if police wanted him to leave, they were going to have to arrest him. Within seconds, the interaction had moved from an attempted removal to an active confrontation, with the man drawing a clear line about how far he was willing to cooperate, which was not at all.
Hey, come on. Hey, man, we're going down here. Okay. You mean? Stop. Stop! Put your hands behind your back! Stop! Stop! Man, stop! Put your hands behind your back! You gonna do? Put your hands behind your back! Yeah! Put your hands behind your back! What's up? Oh, shit! What's wrong with that? Stop! Colby, watch out! Watch out! All right, put it... Stop! Go! Thanks, asshole. Here, give me another set.
He pulled away, began shouting, and physically resisted as officers attempted to get him under control in the narrow space between the stadium rows. Fans around him pulled back as multiple officers struggled to restrain him. He refused to put his hands behind his back and kept fighting through the effort to take him into custody. At one point during the struggle, officers deployed a taser. What makes the footage genuinely difficult to process is what was happening simultaneously in the surrounding environment. The football game didn't stop. Crowd noise filled the stands, announcers were calling the action on the field, and the normal atmosphere of a college game day continued around officers who were engaged in a physical struggle with the man in the seating section. They had been called because the child may have been in danger. Now the man was actively fighting them in front of an entire stadium of people. Even after he was handcuffed, the resistance hadn't ended.
All right, let's get more people up here. more bodies up here. Stop moving.
I'm not doing. I'm falling.
All right.
Falling.
Just keep stay right there. Stay right there.
You mean stay right here? You mean?
Section 2, Rule 35, C.
Hey man, when we get on level ground, peeing your
Stop.
You mean stop?
Stay down.
Hey man. In 1 yard. You ain't know that. Right, you ain't know that. Man, the off me. 207? 207 ain't shit, man. Yo, hey man, I need medical attention. Oh shit, I need medical attention. Right now, right here. I need medical attention.
We're gonna get you some.
Hey, you the captain?
No, I'm not a
Call me a sergeant.
Right here.
Where?
Right there.
Where? This dude?
Yep.
The dude who's made me lick his boots?
Are these cops gonna block all of them?
No. Come on, bro. Let me get the on.
At a weird angle.
Bro,
you're fine. Stay.
Y'all just take me like some. Hey, I'm standing up.
Stop.
Right. I'm gonna stand up with you stepping on my feet. Y'all got me up.
You're gonna stand you up.
No, you two about to kick me in the face. Hell no, bro. Get the sergeant.
Let's stand up on the sergeant, man. Come on. Get up on your knees, bud.
Hell no. Nah, bro, I can't get up on my knees.
I gotta put you on your heels.
I can't get on my knees.
Why not?
Because you got the science me. Hold on, who's right? Who's sergeant? No. Who's the sergeant? I'm a lieutenant. I am a lieutenant. You're a sergeant. All right.
Watch out. He's got blood on him.
I ain't going.
Yeah.
I ain't going. Bro, stand up. Let's go. Bro, you, bro.
Here.
You want to fight?
I need to bring his feet over.
You mean? 1, 2, 3. You ain't picking. Yo, guys can't pick up 300 pounds. What do you mean?
You guys want to go that way?
Yeah.
That way.
I got him.
Sit him down, turn him. Do not drag him by his elbows.
They put me on the bench.
Officers had to keep telling him to stop resisting as they worked to move him down the stadium stairs and out of the seating section. He kept shouting through the whole process, claimed he needed medical attention, said officers were the ones hurting him, and made statements about what he intended to do once the handcuffs were off. An officer involved later explained that the response had looked like from the beginning and what had led to the arrest.
Not really. Dude, someone came up to me and was like, basically someone flagged me down and was like, hey, there's this dad up there. He's like being really rough with his kid, but really drunk. That, dude. So we went up there and we're watching him, and like, dude, he was like putting his kid in like a crazy headlock, like all up on him. Like the kid was not comfortable at all. So I told Colby, I was like, I'm gonna go pull him out so we can talk to him. And as soon as I went over and tapped on him, he was like, I'm not coming down there. He's like, you're gonna have to cuff me and arrest me to get me down there. And I was like, okay, sounds good. So then we gotta go talk to them. So we gotta figure out charges. But well, you almost gotta go domestic battery, endangering the life of a child. How old's the kid? He was probably like 8, 9. Yeah. So I'm gonna go over there and figure that out.
Like this guy was like choking his kid out, making him feel very uncomfortable, and like just grabbing him, and all this. We went up there and watched, and his kid's like this, and he's grabbing the back of his neck and banging his head on him. And I think it's his kid.
Yeah, it was. I'm thinking he was sitting when the kid was sitting right of him.
Much. Like,
so where's the kid now? I have no idea. I don't know if Colby's still up there talking to him, but
Colby kept people up there.
I went over to talk to him. I was just gonna pull him out to have him come down and talk to me, and he immediately was like, no, I'm not going anywhere, you're gonna have to arrest me. And then as soon as like I was like, no, we're going, he started jerking away and like was like basically said he's gonna fight us, and then I mean he did. So
he told Briggs on the way down, as soon as he gets his handcuffs off, he's gonna beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. Oh, I heard all that.
And my shoulder's messed up, so I need to have that looked at. So it doesn't feel great. Charges? Yes. Yeah. At least domestic battery.
The intent from the start had been simple: remove him from the stands and talk to him. He refused within the first exchange, pulled away, and made clear he was willing to fight rather than cooperate with any of it. By the end of the encounter, at least one officer was reporting that his shoulder was in pain and required evaluation. Another officer described what they had witnessed as domestic battery and child endangerment, noting that officers had themselves seen the man's behavior toward the child before ever making contact. The man, identified as Ernest, was subsequently charged with domestic battery, child endangerment, and aggravated assault. The game in the background is a detail the footage doesn't let go of. Crowd sound, an announcer's voice, tens of thousands of people in the stadium watching a game, all of it continuing without interruption while officers were in a physical struggle with a man in the stands over a report that a child had been hurt. Marco Siffredi was born in Chamonix, France, in a place shaped entirely by serious mountain terrain. His father worked as a mountain guide, and from a young age, Marco was drawn toward the steepest and most dangerous spaces surrounding him. By his late teens, he had already developed a reputation for riding lines that most snowboarders would never attempt. At 20, he became the second person and the first snowboarder to descend the north face of the Aiguille in the Mont Blanc Massif, one of the most technically demanding and dangerous descents anywhere in that range. Everest became his next fixation. In 2001, Marco reached the summit with a plan to descend via the Hornbein Couloir, a steep and serious line on the north face of the mountain that he viewed as the ultimate snowboard descent on Everest. That year, the snow in the Hornbein Couloir was insufficient to make the descent viable. He adapted and took the Northern Couloir instead. The descent still entered the record books. Marco covered the distance from the summit down to advanced base camp in under 4 hours, becoming the first person credited with snowboarding continuously down Mount Everest. For most people, that would have represented the completion of something extraordinary. For Marco, it was unfinished. He had come specifically for the Hornbein Couloir, and being redirected to another route left the original objective still sitting there. In the fall of 2002, he returned to Everest with free Sherpas, hoping that post-monsoon conditions would finally deliver enough snow to the Hornbein Couloir to make the descent he had been building toward a reality. On September 8, 2002, Marco stood on the summit of Everest for the second time, having completed the ascent in approximately 12 hours. By the time he arrived, the conditions were already working against him. The day was late, clouds were building below the summit, and his Sherpas were concerned about both the deteriorating weather and the physical state Marco was in after the climb. They urged him not to begin the descent. For Marco, that summit and that moment were exactly what he had come back to Everest to reach. Waiting again meant walking away from the objective for a second time. He took a fresh canister of oxygen, readied his gear, and strapped into his snowboard. He reportedly said to one of the Sherpas, "See you tomorrow." Then he turned toward the north face and began descending into the cloud layer below him. The Sherpas watched as he moved down before the weather closed in, and he was gone from sight. No tracks were subsequently found on the face. No snowboard, no equipment, and no body were ever recovered. Marco Siffredi disappeared somewhere on Everest's north face. What happened to him has never been established. Among the theories that have been put forward, avalanche, a fall into a crevice, collapse from exhaustion, or disorientation in a whiteout. Some accounts have suggested he survived and traveled into Tibet. No evidence supports that version. What is confirmed is that he went back to Everest for the one line he had not been able to complete, and that the last words anyone reportedly heard from him were the ones he said at the summit before turning toward the face, "See you tomorrow." Dashcam footage recorded on July 19th in Hening City in China's Shanxi province captures a driver moving through a storm, unaware of what the weather conditions had produced ahead of them on the road.
进入环岛，请从第二出口驶出，往海盐方向。
The storm had generated a tornado that moved through the city and onto the freeway. The footage shows the tornado lifting a car from the road and throwing it onto the roadside. From inside the recording vehicle, there was no way to intervene. The event unfolded in seconds in front of the dashcam. The tornado followed in the aftermath of Typhoon Baby, which had already struck the province and caused extensive flooding across the region. The condition of the people inside the car that was lifted is not known, but what is known is the next story that ends in tragedy. Nangarhar is a province in eastern Afghanistan that sits along the border with Pakistan. In the footage, people are moving with urgency while a rumbling sound builds from somewhere in the distance. Watch. massive landslide struck the province. Initial reports recorded before rescue teams had been dispatched to the affected area indicated more than 200 people had died. Figures established before rescue operations began typically reflect only what was immediately visible. In the final count in incidents, this scale is often significantly higher once teams have worked through the full extent of the damage. A Reddit user named Marco had recently relocated from city life to a small wooden house in a remote village in northern Italy. The move was intentional. He was looking for quiet, space, and a pace of living that the city hadn't offered. For the first few weeks, the house delivered exactly that. The village was still, the property felt calm, and nothing gave him a reason to question the decision. That changed gradually. Late at night, sounds began coming from the attic above him. Marco initially processed them as the ordinary noise of an old wooden structure responding to cold temperatures, the kind of explanation that makes sense and holds for a while. Eventually, it stopped holding. The sounds became too particular to explain away. Floorboards creaking in a sequence, dull impacts from above, and at times something that resembled the sound of an object being pulled across the attic floor. When the noises started, Marco began recording with his phone, building a record of what he was hearing and hoping at some point to capture something that documented it clearly. After several attempts, he got something that shifted the experience from uneasy to something harder to rationalize. In the recording, movement sounds are clearly audible coming from directly above Marco as he scans the ceiling. Not faint or ambient, close. The way sound is when its source is just on the other side of a surface. After holding still and listening, Marco climbed up into the attic to look for the source. The space appeared empty when he entered. No one visible, nothing immediately out of place in the small dark room. As he stood there with his phone recording, the sound of hangers moving reached him from behind. He turned toward it. At almost the same instant, a chair in front of him was knocked sideways. That was the moment that sent him back down the ladder. According to Marco, the incident in the attic was enough. He was too frightened to continue staying in the house after that and went to stay with a friend. The chair is a specific detail the footage keeps returning to. He had already climbed into the attic looking for whatever was making the noise, was already inside the space with his phone out, and it was there that the chair moved in front of him while something else made noise behind him. On July 25th, 2026, on Interstate 10 in El Paso, Texas, body camera footage from a motorcycle officer captured what began as a routine traffic stop and turned into something significantly more dangerous within seconds.
Oh, sir, good morning.
Sorry about that, sir. You came up on me fast. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good. I'm officer with police. You're going 85 and a 60, okay? Yeah, I know. Have license with you?
I know. I'm late to work right now. That's why I was rushing.
Well, here's your car. Oh! 131, clear the air, clear the air. I-10 east, mile marker 34.
Sir, what?
You okay? Start me FMS.
While the officer was conducting the stop, a distracted driver traveling the same road struck the pulled-over vehicle at significant force. The impact narrowly missed the officer. The person in the stopped car sustained injuries that were assessed as non-life-threatening. The severity of the collision and the officer's position at the scene meant the outcome could have been substantially worse. Had the impact reached the officer rather than the vehicle beside him, the situation would have looked entirely different. But in this next case, we show you some of the most disturbing body cam footage yet.
She calling?
Yes, ma'am, she is.
What?
Very early to...
just saw an Amazon trailer pull down that road.
We need to find that Amazon van. We need to get on Flock and we need to start looking for it. So here's what's going on, alright? There's a dead lady on the side of the road up here. Her skin's on the front of your van. The fender flare that's missing is up there on the road by the lady. It's pretty serious.
No, yeah, that's serious.
Right.
Yeah.
On the evening of November 12th, 2024, police in Canton, Georgia responded to a dark stretch of Canton Highway where a 79-year-old woman had been found dead on the side of the road. Her name was Sandra Fitz. She had been crossing the highway after visiting a family cemetery in the area. There were no direct witnesses to the moment of impact, and by the time the officers arrived at the scene, the vehicle that had struck her was no longer there.
This is the husband is right here. I was on the way back from golf and saw him stumbling. I'm over at Station 7.
Okay.
I just was going to stop and render.
You see her get hit?
I did not see her get hit. I just saw her over there. I had to swerve around here and I almost hit her. But
did you see the other vehicle?
No, he said he did. They're going westbound on 20.
Okay.
But I don't know the description. She's just a bystander.
Okay.
I was going to stop and render, but I figured y'all want to save me from me or something. But I didn't really see anything.
Yeah.
You want my ID and everything?
Yeah, see Station 7.
I'm sorry?
Said Station 7?
Yeah, I'm out of Station 7. I'm just off today.
Gotcha. What one on this?
Hey, this right this.
Almost immediately, investigators had a lead to work from. A witness had reported seeing an Amazon delivery van in the area around the time of the collision.
Just saw an Amazon trailer pull down that road. It should have a missing plastic fender flare.
189 to the Delta units on this 46. Just in case you're not aware, the suspect's vehicle is going to be an Amazon delivery truck. Keep your eyes out for it.
What did you see?
What?
What did you see?
I didn't see, I just heard it.
You heard it?
Yeah. I was parked out there.
Okay.
She just parked in that street.
Okay.
I heard it. I didn't see
Okay.
it.
What's her information? How do I ID her? Do you have her full name, date of birth, all that good stuff?
Sandra Edwards Fitz.
Sandra
Yeah.
Fitts.
Yeah.
Date of birth? And I'm sorry that this happened, but you are her husband.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very sorry, sir. I'm very sorry for your loss.
Hey there, you
Yeah, it's my father-in-law. Is she gone?
Yes, ma'am, she is.
What happened?
We're still trying to, it's very early to know anything
Is
right
that
now.
her?
Yes, so you might want to stay a little back. Do they live here at this house?
This used to be their house, and they got tore down by the road coming through, and they come here every night to feed the cats.
Gotcha.
And then we've said they're gonna get hurt.
While officers were documenting the scene and speaking with Sandra's family, they began looking for the van. Their expectation was that it would carry visible damage, including a missing piece of trim from the front of the vehicle. A short time after the search began, police located an Amazon van still moving through neighborhoods nearby. The driver had not left the area. He had continued working his delivery route as though nothing had happened. He was identified as London Rosier Best.
Checking to 347.
Do you guys have anything at all? No?
He asked what I was doing. I said we're following up with everything. So I haven't messed with the car while it's still on there.
347, I'm sorry, tracking, please.
All right. The most he said to me was he was listening to his music with his headphones in, and I don't remember if he said he didn't know if he hit something or didn't hit something or something.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Let me have a word with him.
Yeah.
Hey, sir, how you doing?
I'm good. You?
Hey, good. I'm Deputy Mills with the Sheriff's Office. You want to hop out of here? I want to chat with you about what's going on tonight. You got an ID with you or no?
It's in my backpack.
That's in your backpack?
I know where that's at.
Okay. Since I've explained them to you, are you willing to answer any questions without an attorney present? You don't want to talk?
I don't feel comfortable without the word because I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to figure out why there's damage on the front of your van.
I hit a mailbox earlier today, and I don't know anything else after that.
Okay. You hit a mailbox?
Yeah. I was telling him something too, like whatever was going on. What is going on?
That's what we're trying to investigate, all right? Because it looks like there's some skin on the front of your van.
From?
You tell me. And you're the one driving the van, right?
Yeah.
Was anybody else driving the van? Or
No, just me.
Okay. Was anybody with you? Or just you?
No, it was just me all day.
When officers made contact, Best offered an explanation for the damage on the van. He said he had struck a mailbox earlier in the day, attributed to him. The deputy who examined the vehicle found the explanation inconsistent with what was in front of him. There was damage to the front of the van, the mirror was broken, and a piece of the fender had already been recovered from the crash scene near Sandra's body. The deputy then laid out what officers had found: a woman dead on the road and physical evidence of the collision still visible on the front of the van Best had been driving. Best's account began to change.
So here's what's going on, alright? There's a dead lady on the side of the road up here. Her skin's on the front of your van. The fender flare that's missing is up there in the road by the dead lady. It's pretty serious.
No, yeah, that's serious.
Right.
Yeah.
So, can you please be honest with me?
Yeah. Okay. There was a lady crossing the road on Coming Highway, and I swerved her. I had my music in, like I just kept doing my route. That's what I was telling him. Like I told him the exact same thing. I got to my next stop, and my mirror was messed up.
So the mirror was messed up after that happened, or after you hit the mailbox earlier?
Just after, like I didn't know what what happened. Like if I hit anything, if I hit another mailbox or what. But I just literally like 6 o'clock, like, or I don't know what time, but I got to a stop. And
so you saw a lady crossing the road,
and I swerved her. I went to the other side of the road.
And you didn't hear like the impact when you hit her?
I didn't know. I had music.
It was noise canceling?
Yeah, I didn't. Oh my goodness.
So you were driving with earphones in both your ears?
Well, I had one like this.
Okay.
Well, the other way, but like, yeah, I'm talking.
He had moved to his next delivery stop after the incident, noticed the mirror was damaged, and at some point understood that something serious had occurred. Despite that, he did not return to the scene, did not contact 911 directly, and did not stop working. He kept delivering.
You didn't hear when you hit the person on the road?
No, I didn't even know. Like, I swerved her. I thought I was good.
Okay. Then where'd you go after that?
I finished. I don't know my next stop, sir, but I was finishing my route off of Coming Highway.
Like, so you were going down Coming Highway, did you immediately turn right on Bishop, or did you go somewhere else first?
I'm not familiar with streets.
This is Bishop. Right?
Yeah. Oh, no, I went somewhere, I don't know.
Did you have another package to deliver before you came down this road?
Yeah, I had a couple streets, like
that were off Coming Highway, off 20, but like other residential streets, and then you came back to this street?
Yes, sir.
You got anything else to add about any of this, or what do you think?
I'm sorry. I didn't, like, I'm appalled. Like, I'm shocked. I didn't even know. Like, I really didn't even know what he, like, that's why I was creeping slow. I didn't know who was right here. They was turning in, like, and then he just turned on the lights, and I was confused, really.
So you...
An officer later spoke with Best's mother. She confirmed that her son had reached out to her and told her he believed he may have hit someone, that he was scared, emotional, and had described seeing an older woman in the road.
Well, he had said that it was pitch black dark, Mom, and he says, I'm really scared, I'm really nervous. I swerved, somebody was crossing the street, and I think I might have hit her. And I was like, London, are you okay? He was like, I don't think so. I was like, is she okay? He's like, I don't think so. And he said, she was sitting on the sidewalk. I told the man to call 911, and I continued on my route. And I was like, well, do you think you should go back? Do you think you should? And at this point, I started hearing the sirens on the phone. And I was like, you think you need to call Amazon? What do you need to do? And he was just freaking out and nervous, and he gets a little emotional. So I'm trying to calm him down, but he was just like, I hit her, I think I hit her, because the ambulance are coming. And I think he had went down one street and come out one other one. He said, the whole streets are blocked off. I think something's wrong. And he was just saying all that the time that he was talking to me, up until he said the cops were behind him. And then that was it. I hadn't heard back from him.
What did he give you a reason why he didn't like just go back there and stop? And
he was just nervous and scared, and I was trying to encourage him too that I think that might be the best option. I didn't know what he should do, like, because that's why he called me asking what did he, and I said, if you stopped already and told the guy to call 911 and you checked and said, is she okay, I think it would be best if you go back. And he was like, well, he was just emotional. He didn't really say anything, and I was like, go back, Lyndon, at this point. And then that's when the cop came.
Okay, so you're kind of still convincing him to go back?
Yeah, and I think he was just nervous and scared. He's 24, about to be 25 on Sunday, and he's just a mid-tween, 20-year-old, and I don't know if you deal with them or not a lot, but that emotional stage and making hasty decisions.
Sure, I got you.
His mother said she encouraged him to go back to the scene, especially once the sound of sirens became audible in the area. He did not return. For investigators, the case had expanded beyond the collision itself to encompass the decisions that followed it. Bess had seen someone in the road, swerved, noticed damage to his vehicle afterward, contacted his mother, and discussed the possibility that he had struck a person and then continued his route. His explanation was that he hadn't known what to do and that he had asked someone nearby to call 911 and believed that was enough. Officers were clear in their response. A driver who hits a person is legally required to stop, call for help, and stay at the scene. Sandra was dead by then, and the van connected to her death had continued through the neighborhood as if it were an unremarkable part of a delivery shift. Best was arrested and charged with first-degree vehicular homicide and hit-and-run resulting in death. Drug-related charges were later added after marijuana, THC wax, and drug-related objects were reportedly found inside the van. Whether a formal conviction and sentence had been entered was not confirmed in publicly available reports at the time of this account. The detail that defines the case is where officers found him when they located the van. Still on the route, still delivering packages, with the front of the vehicle carrying the evidence of what he had chosen not to report. The MV Arvin was an aging cargo vessel originally constructed under the name Vogo Bolt 189. It belonged to a class of ships designed for calmer inland and river sea routes, not for the repeated stress that rough open water conditions produce over extended operation. Over the years, the ship moved through different names, owners, and flags, continuing to work well past the point where its structural age had become apparent. By January 2021, it was carrying approximately 2,900 tons of URA fertilizer from Georgia toward Bulgaria across the Black Sea. The voyage was meant to be short and manageable. Within a few days, conditions worsened and the crew sought shelter along the Turkish coast while the weather made open sailing too dangerous to continue. Days passed there. The Black Sea in winter exerts a specific kind of pressure on old hulls. Corrosion that has been accumulating for years, structural fatigue that doesn't announce itself in calm conditions but becomes critical under the repeated stress of heavy swells, weaknesses that the sea finds systematically when given enough time and forced to work with. The Arvin waited along the coast while all of that remained true of its hull and then continued the voyage when the weather offered a gap. Moving near the coast of Barton, the ship encountered heavy waves and strong winds that placed sustained stress on a structure already compromised by years of deterioration. By late morning, the crew was working to hold the situation and the captain ordered more engine power. The difficulty wasn't a navigation problem or a question of speed. The ship itself was approaching the limit of what its staging structure could absorb under those conditions. Around midday on January 17, 2021, the hull failed catastrophically, splitting the Arvin near its midpoint into two separate sections. There was no warning that built slowly enough to respond to, no time to arrest what was happening, no organized evacuation. Water entered immediately and the two sections began pulling apart. The captain issued a distress call and ordered the crew to abandon ship. Some crew members reached the upper deck with immersion suits and life jackets on. Others didn't reach the same position in time. As the vessel listed and broke apart, the deck became unstable, and people who had trained for maritime emergencies were now inside one that moved faster than any training exercise replicates. Some entered the water by slipping or jumping. Others moved toward life rafts. Some found debris to hold onto as the waves carried them away from the wreck and from each other. Reaching survival equipment was not the same as being safe. The sea separated people within seconds, and closing that distance again in those conditions was almost impossible. In the Black Sea in January, cold water incapacitation sets in within minutes of immersion, which means the window between entering the water and losing the physical ability to act was extremely short for anyone not reached immediately. Rescue crews pulled 6 crew members alive from the Black Sea. 3 bodies were recovered. 3 more crew members were reported missing and presumed dead. The aftermath generated questions that the weather alone didn't answer. The Arvin was old, small compared to vessels built for open ocean work, and structurally vulnerable. Maritime analysis pointed to the broader danger of older ships operating in difficult Black Sea conditions when corrosion and fatigue are allowed to develop unchecked. The storm was one part of what happened. The other part was a ship that had been allowed to keep working until the sea found what it had been looking for. The moment the hull split was captured on video, a documented instance of a vessel failing entirely and simultaneously. A crew left with almost no interval between routine duty and survival. The days the Arvin spent waiting along the Turkish coast while the weather passed or the detail the case doesn't move past. The sea had already shown what January conditions on the Black Sea looked like, and when the gap came, the Arvin sailed back into it carrying the same hull it had arrived with. The shelter delay hadn't repaired anything, and every condition the storm had exposed as dangerous was still present when the Arvin left the coast and headed back out into them. On July 31, 2014, dashcam footage recorded from inside a car in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, shows a stopped vehicle at a red traffic light. 2 people are on a scooter nearby. A car is visible to the left. None of them had any indication of what was seconds away.
哦，爆炸！旁边，跟我看，先走。哦，要死！听到跟了，哎呦，那个瓦斯爆炸，听到跟了，哎，先绕过去，哎，先绕过去，不要。哦，这整个瓦斯爆炸，哇，吓死我了！还有出现啊！绕右手边出去好了。等一下，还有那个这边也有呢。对，他从那个。 管线这个很危险。应该是伫个啥东大呀爆炸夭寿啊！靠！你看这有楼堂，所以那会冒火。哦，啊，不要！这边哎冒火，冒火很危险。哎呀，无你个我倒啊，咱东城呀。有危险呢。不会了，赶快，先走，不要东城呀，不要停太久。哎，东城对呀，行，拢绕行。哦，还在冒烟呢，还有的都是那个很危险的。哎，供灯节，就前面就警察局啊。对啊，前阵哦。快，先走。走哪里啊？弯，左转。 左转，没有，我们最好停旁边吧。没有左转，先离开这边，这边就是危险地区啊。危险地区，
Eyewitnesses in the San Duo and Lingya districts had described a gas smell and white smoke rising from manholes. Reports of gas leaks had come in approximately 3 hours earlier. Those leaks produced a series of explosions, which the dashcam captured as they began. Every direction the driver turned showed fireballs and successive blasts across the road. The explosions raised the temperature of the ground itself. Firefighters were deployed to spray water on the surface, but water alone proved insufficient against the flames, continuing to push up through the manholes. The source was a propane leak. 32 people died and more than 300 were injured. On the side of a road in Hunan province, China, a sequence of events began with something entirely unremarkable and escalated while the man at the center of it had no idea what was unfolding behind him. A gust of wind blew an elderly man's hat from his head. He turned to retrieve it, leaving his tricycle parked at the roadside. While he was facing away, a car struck the tricycle. By the time he turned back around, the damage was already there. He had not seen any of it happen. The driver who hit the tricycle later arranged to have it repaired. The hat is what started everything. One gust, one turn back, and the tricycle sitting exactly where it needed to be. On April 25th, 2015, climbers at Everest Base Camp were in the middle of preparing for the season's ascent when the ground began moving. A 7.8 magnitude earthquake had struck Nepal, destroying villages, collapsing structures, and killing thousands across a country far from the mountain. On Everest, the danger didn't come from below, it came from above. The initial shaking left many people in camp uncertain about what was happening. Tents moved, the glacier shifted, climbers emerged outside to try to understand the situation. Then the sound reached them, a deep and expanding roar from the direction of the ridgeline above base camp. Looking up, they saw a massive avalanche descending from the ridge between Pomori and Lingtran, sending a violent surge of snow, ice, and compressed air directly toward the camp below. There was no time to act in any organized way. Some climbers ran. Others moved inside their tents, not yet understanding that the shock wave traveling ahead of the avalanche body would be among the most destructive elements of what was coming. Within seconds, the blast passed through the center of base camp, collapsing tents, throwing gear across the glacier, and burying sections of the camp under snow and debris. The medical area, which would be needed immediately after, had also been badly damaged. Survivors began moving through the wreckage as soon as it was possible to do so, calling out, listening for responses, pulling injured climbers out of collapsed structures and buried equipment. Managing the aftermath was nearly impossible under the circumstances. Medical supplies were limited and the facility was compromised. The camp occupied a moving glacier, and aftershocks continued to create the risk of additional avalanches coming down from above. Many of the injured had sustained serious trauma. Weather conditions prevented helicopters from reaching everyone immediately. The following day, evacuations began. Survivors and the dead were moved off the mountain, with many of the injured transported toward Farichi, Lukla, and Kathmandu for treatment. Reports at the time placed the death toll from the Everest disaster at a minimum of 21 people, with many more injured or trapped higher on the mountain, attributed to reports at the time. It became one of the deadliest single events in Everest's recorded history. Base camp was where climbers stayed while waiting for the real climbing to begin, a place that was considered removed from the serious risks higher on the mountain. The avalanche that crossed it in seconds changed what base camp means as a place of relative safety. Footage from a campus in India shows a chaotic situation already underway. Police are out at the scene carrying lit sticks, an unconventional response method, and windows were broken during the incident.
देख डॉक्टर को जगाना डॉक्टर को देख कौन करने के आएंगे देख छोड़ 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 देख कौन करने के आए छोड़ के देख
The source of the disruption was an elephant. At some point during the event, the animal exited the building by passing through a small window, a detail that makes the footage difficult to categorize alongside more typical campus incidents. Additional context about what triggered the situation or what preceded the elephant's presence inside the building is limited, as the video does not provide further information and outside reporting on the specific incident is sparse. What the footage documents clearly is the exit, an elephant coming through a window that appears far too small for the purpose. Chillán is an inland city in south-central Chile, serving as the capital of the Ñuble region and located approximately 400 kilometers, roughly 249 miles south of Santiago. A family based in the area captured footage of an unexpected weather event that occurred shortly after 2 p.m.
Váyanse para adentro si quieren. Corta la luz.
The Nubile region apparently experienced a tornado outbreak around this time, according to news reports. The full picture of what occurred remains unclear, as information was fragmented and limited in the immediate aftermath. The footage itself shows a tornado forming and making contact with the ground in close proximity to the family's location. 3 tornado clouds were confirmed to have been spotted in the area. Available reports at the time indicated no serious injuries or fatalities, and detailed material damage was similarly limited. The 3 confirmed tornado cloud sightings are the most specific piece of verified information from the event. The broader scope of the outbreak, beyond what the family's footage captured, remained difficult to establish from what was publicly available.
Trying to break into the house.
Okay, let me get you transferred to the sheriff's office. What's your name?
I'm Angel. I live with my friend Don. He's already starting to kill us before. Don, get away from the door.
Just stay on the line. Hey, it's Fire Control. I have Angel. Someone's trying to break in.
Mom, get away from the door.
In the morning of April 1st, 2024, the day after Easter, a 911 call came in from a home in Morrow County. Donna's estranged husband, Josh Boucher, 43, was outside the house and attempting to break in.
He's in the house. He's in the house.
Okay, ma'am. Where are you at? What's your address?
I think I don't know. I just came up to stay for the weekend. I said we're on Route 95 next to the Dollar General. He's in the house.
Okay.
I don't know. He just broke in. I need to hide. He doesn't know I'm on the phone.
Dispatchers worked to keep Angel on the line while routing the call to the sheriff's office. Within seconds, the situation inside the home turned violent.
Just hit her. He doesn't know I'm on the phone. He doesn't know I'm on the phone. I have to go. I can't let him hurt her.
Yes, please.
I'm not calling him. I'm not calling him. No, I didn't.
Where the is Dylan?
I don't know where he is. He wants to.
No, I'm tired of this.
Don't. Please don't.
No, this is dead.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I took no 10 years of my life.
I know.
No, you don't. You guys are with me in my head, and I'm done. No, 10. Give me the goddamn time.
You can hang up.
Dispatchers heard chaos playing out in real time through the open line. Moments later, a deputy arrived at the property just as Josh was attempting to leave.
Huh?
He killed her. She's dead in the house.
Where's he at?
Right there. I don't know where he was.
4659. Got a female running out, said there's been a shooting here. Give me all the units you got.
I'm going in the house. He's going to kill me.
Where's he at?
I don't know.
316 419 headed to 6706 Route 95. 6706 Route 95. On a shooting.
Is he in that white car?
More starter disease.
4659. I got him in a white car, running through the fence. Gonna be headed towards the convenience store in Chesterville. 59. He's taking off.
Josh fled in a white vehicle, breaking through a fence as he left the property. At that point, officers did not have a complete picture of what had occurred inside the house. What they had was a possible murder scene, a suspect leaving the area, and at least one person on the property who was terrified. When additional deputies pushed toward the house, they heard something that changed the nature of the response.
Stand by, we're making entry.
Sheriff's office! This dog? Is that door unlocked, John? She's screaming in there. 2 dogs. Hello? These dogs bite. Hello. Come here, pups. Come on. Come on. There's 3 of them, John. One's a pit bull. Come on.
Donna was alive. She was inside the home with a gunshot wound to her head. Several dogs were positioned around her body and appeared to be standing guard over her, which made it difficult for officers to reach her. Deputies worked carefully to move the animals before medics could get to her.
Can you get these dogs? Hurry up. So we can get these dogs. Andrew, send that squad up here.
Come on. They're not going to let me get close because they're not comfortable with me either. They're protecting her body.
I know, she's alive.
She is?
Yeah.
Don, they're coming,
I need you to go in there and get them dogs.
Okay. Hey, Sharmy, come here.
Here, look out.
I'll with those two.
Get my taser. Come on, puppies. Come on. Here, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Go, baby. Ma'am, can you hear me? Tell her to come out here.
Ruger.
Ma'am, where are you injured?
I don't know.
Okay. Right now.
No, we need to squad right now.
Huh?
What do you need?
Or just need a squad. She's in here shot in the head. We just went through the glass like that, Sheriff.
There's a shell casing right there.
Okay. Tell me what kind of shell casing that is without touching it.
I think it's a 9mm.
Yeah, it looks like a 9.
When officers finally reached Donna, she was conscious and speaking. She told them her name. According to the subsequent investigation, she also identified Josh as the person who had shot her, attributed to the investigation.
There on the kitchen floor.
Okay, she breathing?
Yeah, she got a gunshot wound to the head, it appears.
Okay.
And she's still talking.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you state your name for me, please? Okay. I've got EMS. They're going to be touching you here in just a second, okay? Get her out. I want you to step over this bag. Give me your hand. Step over this bag.
I love you.
I love you.
Go out there.
Bethany, I need you to just do it. I don't have time to answer all your questions.
While deputies and medics were working to keep Donna alive, Josh called dispatch himself.
Okay, Sheriff's Office.
Oh, ma'am, I had to leave the incident. There's no way I came back this morning. This is Josh Boucher.
Okay, what's going on, miss?
My wife is dead on the floor, and there's a lady in the back of the room in my daughter's room when I entered the house.
Okay, your wife's dead on the floor?
I said, what the? Oh, I don't know. No, I'm just freaking the out. I laughed.
Josh.
Going, what the?
Josh.
I'm okay. Okay, I'm just sad. I'm going, what the just happened? Because
I understand, Josh. I need you to take a deep breath for me. I understand it's an overwhelming experience.
all of this is happening all at once. All of this, I'm going, Father God, help me. Father God, help me.
His version of what had happened bore almost no resemblance to what Angel had described or to what the 911 recording had captured.
I was laying there. Dawn, I tried to move her. Dawn, baby, are you breathing? They check her pulse. Is she okay? What's going on? Because I like to know. Because all I feel like is this person, whoever the hell she had, and I was just a couple seconds from missing this. Oh my God! You have no idea what's going on, Father God. Help me, because I can't put a finger on it. Like if they're setting me up, why would they do it? Why would you kill my wife?
Josh said he had returned to the house and found Donna already on the floor. He said there was another woman inside, that he had no explanation for what had occurred, and that he believed someone had set him up. Angel gave investigators a completely different account.
I said something, he told me.
Hey, at this point,
he knows where I live.
we are going to get him. Okay? So come out here.
When Autumn
Yes.
gets out of the truck, tell her to prep her RSI stuff.
RSI stuff.
Can you ask our dispatch to see if anybody's flying?
What happened today? Okay.
It started the last 3 days.
Right.
He choked her and shot at her, but she was too scared to call because he said that he would kill her.
56459 squad's on scene.
Is that this morning you said that?
No, this started 3 days ago and it escalated. We called you guys, not yesterday, but the day before. We had you guys here, and they said they couldn't do anything because it was too late to call. We made an incident report yesterday because he tried to choke her son out, and he attacked my little sister, but I was in Columbia.
Can you ask 911 dispatch, see if anybody's flying?
According to Angel, Josh had spent time in the preceding period threatening Donna, monitoring the house, banging on windows through the night, and accusing people of recording him or acting against him, attributed to Angel. Angel said Donna had been too frightened to call police because Josh had threatened to kill her. That morning, Josh broke into the house. Angel heard a gunshot while she was still connected to 911. After the shot, she said Josh located her in a bedroom, took her phone, ended the 911 call, searched through her pockets, and tried to force her to leave with him. She also told police that Donna had been shot in the kitchen and that Josh had moved her body afterward, telling Angel to help Donna while simultaneously preventing Angel from touching her.
We knew this was gonna happen.
All right, I can't go down the steps. I got it, side. Grab this side.
I got this, John. Grab this side.
Dawn, you still good?
Yeah. I told you guys he was gonna hurt me.
Angel. She's alive. She's talking. Okay. She does have a wound to her head, obviously, but she was talking when we were taking her down off the porch.
As Donna was transported for emergency treatment, officers began the search for Josh.
That's very unpredictable. He may very well come back.
He was gone for nearly 4 hours before he crashed a vehicle, stole another, and drew the highway patrol into a high-speed pursuit. The stolen truck was eventually disabled through a remote shutdown, at which point Josh continued on foot. He concealed himself inside the garage of an unoccupied home until officers surrounded the location.
Walk slowly towards us. Keep facing us, all right? Walk slow. No, walk right straight towards us. I want to see it. Keep walking. Keep walking. You're fine. Keep coming. We're not going to shoot you. We're not going to shoot you. Hey, one is stop right there. Yeah, lift up his shirt. Hey, take. That's all I want you to do, crap. No, watch his hands. Relax. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. We're not going to shoot you. Let me see your hands. That's what I want you to do. Hey, I want you to grab the top of your shoulders with your shirt. I want you to lift it up so I can see your waistband. We're not going to shoot you. I just need to make sure you don't have any weapons for our safety.
Weapons, I promise. There's a reason I won today.
Keep your hands up.
Yes, sir.
So I can see them. Grab the top of your shoulders.
Yes, sir.
With the shirt and pull it up so I can see your waistband.
Okay,
nice and slow. Nice and slow.
Please don't shoot me.
We're not going to shoot you. Full rotation. Keep going. Keep going.
Now you can
It's in his waistband. Go on, Zach. What is that? It's got a bulge in the back.
What is it?
What is it? No. Okay. You're good. Yeah, you're good. Keep rotating. Nice and slow. Walk towards us. Hands are up. Hands are up. There you go. Nice and slow. Okay.
I would never hurt you guys.
This is what we're gonna do. You're gonna walk past the officer with the shield, and we're gonna take you over here. Okay.
Tell him to keep his hands up above
Hands
his head.
are up above your head the whole time. Keep walking. There you go. Nice and slow. Put them on top of his head. Nice and slow. Put them on top of your head. There you go. Nice and slow. Right here. Right here. You see me? Come right here.
I'm just
Walk to me.
very nervous, guys.
Yep. Walk past the shield. Here we go.
Because Knox County's heavy.
Keep coming to me.
All my life.
Keep coming. Nice and slow.
Okay.
You're doing great. Keep coming. Keep coming. There you go. Keep walking. You're good.
Transfer back. Yep. Okay. Okay. If there's a reason, I apologize, officers. I had no choice. All right, let's get him out.
With multiple weapons on him, Josh came out slowly with his hands raised. Officers had him lift his shirt, turn around, and show his waistband before taking him into custody. The person who had been so threatening in the recordings now came out quietly, apologizing repeatedly and continuing to claim he had been set up. The account dissolved almost immediately under what investigators had in front of them: the 911 recording, Angel's account, and Donna herself. Before she was moved to a deeper level of medical care, Donna told the medical staff that Josh was the one who had shot her. The bullet had traveled through her jaw and lodged near her spine, leaving her paralyzed from the neck down. Donna survived. Her life did not return to what it had been. At sentencing, she read a statement from her wheelchair. She said she could no longer work, drive, or feed herself, and that she would need around-the-clock care for the remainder of her life. In July 2025, Josh Boucher was found guilty on 16 counts, including attempted aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, and kidnapping. He was sentenced to a minimum of 50 years, combined with another sentence resulting from the chase. He will not be eligible for release until he is 91 years old. The 911 call is what the case is anchored to. Dispatchers were on the line as the attack unfolded, and Josh's version of events, offered from a different phone hours later, had to contend with a recording that had captured what actually happened in that house before anyone had a chance to construct a different story. Speaking of different story, brace yourself for this next one. The footage that follows starts in an unusual place and keeps escalating from there, each development more unexpected than the one before it. The first accident occurred, but 28-year-old Gurwa May kept driving rather than stopping. He then drove the vehicle through the Northern Shopping Centre in Preston, Australia. He was not the owner of the Land Cruiser he was driving at the time. Since the incident, May has appeared in court and admitted to being behind the wheel. That admission placed him at the center of a sequence that began with one collision and continued through the interior of a shopping center. Dashcam footage recorded on kilometer 41 of the Perm-Yekaterinburg highway in Perm Krai, Russia, shows a 36-year-old man driving with his family. What follows in the recording is a result of a decision he made on that stretch road. He was in the process of overtaking when the maneuver went wrong. Based on what the footage suggests, he may have remained in the opposing lane longer than intended, possibly reacting to road markings in a way that led him to stay out rather than merge back. He collided with a vehicle traveling in the opposing lane. His family survived the crash. The occupants of the other vehicle, described as a sedan, did not. The road marking detail is what the footage points to as the apparent factor. A visual cue that may have influenced the driver at the moment when returning to his lane was the only viable option. Ian Ma Kumamoto sits in Kumamoto, Japan, and dashcam footage recorded in late July captured what happened there after an earthquake struck the area, an event the camera pointed at the mall wasn't expecting to document.
消えてるって。30秒後に録画を停止します。やばいやばいやばい。
The mall exploded. A dashcam and a security camera both recorded the moment it happened. The blast came in the aftermath of a magnitude 6.8 earthquake that had hit the region. According to reports, 2 people lost their lives. Both were employees of the mall who had been instructed by their supervisor to return to the building following the earthquake. The sequence matters. The earthquake came first, a decision was made to send workers back inside, and the explosion followed. Those two deaths connect directly to that order given in the gap between the tremor and the blast. Across Kumamoto Prefecture as a whole, 38 people passed away as a result of the earthquake. Some footage makes more sense once context is established, and in this case, the context makes what happened more disturbing than the clip alone communicates. This incident took place in Haryana, India, and involved a group described online and in reporting as cow vigilantes. Their stated objective was to intercept trucks transporting cows, stop the vehicles, and release the animals. The method they used was deploying spikes on the road to force the trucks to halt. On this occasion, the spikes caused the truck to flip rather than producing a controlled stop. The outcome was significantly more damaging than a simple interception. The approach carried obvious danger for everyone present, including the people attempting the intervention. The spike deployment is the specific detail the incident turns on, a method intended to stop a vehicle that instead sent it over.
Can you hear me?
Let's go back.
I'm shot in the arm and the leg, Sergeant.
On New Year's Eve 2017, Douglas County deputies Zachary Parrish, Taylor Davis, and two other officers responded to the apartment of Matthew Reel, a veteran who had already been the subject of multiple calls that same evening. The call had started as a dispute with his roommate, and this was now the third time deputies had been dispatched to that specific address in a single night. Officers understood going in that the situation carried elevated risk. Reel was believed to have access to multiple firearms, and concerns about his mental state and documented history of PTSD had been raised. All four deputies approached without awareness. Even with the extra caution built into the response, no one standing outside that apartment could fully anticipate what the next few minutes would produce.
Zach. What? Can you help me? Yeah, I can. Did you not get that message? Just...
Well, I don't think there's anyone else in there.
No. We're gonna take him.
The encounter grew tense quickly when Rhea shut the door on the deputies rather than cooperating. Officers began talking through the possibility of a mental health hold, looking for a path through the situation that kept it from deteriorating further. Before that conversation could produce a plan, the call became an ambush.
Office!
Gunfire erupted from inside the apartment and struck all four deputies. 3 managed to get clear, wounded and disoriented but able to move. Deputy Zachary Parrish went down inside the apartment and could not reach the exit. The remaining officers were driven back under sustained fire, fully aware that one of their own was still in that room and that any attempt to re-enter could cost them their lives as well.
Where you? Chest. Where in the chest? Where in the chest? Stay with me, Kelly. Stay with me. Right here. All right, guys. If I had him. I'm shot in the chest. Where's him like this? I don't see you, dude. She's inside with them. I'm shot in the arm and the leg, Sarge. Open it. I need a flashlight over here. You're okay. You're okay. I don't see blood. I don't see blood. He's shooting out the window. Get it out of here. This way. Tell me over here. Over here. On the ground. On the ground. I got you, buddy. I got you. I got you. We don't care about you. I got you, buddy. Right in front of us. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We got you. Backseat of my truck. Let's go. Ready? One's got a chest wound, one shot in the arm.
The wounded were transported for emergency treatment while officers still on scene worked to figure out how to reach Parrish. Time was critical. The volume and accuracy of Riel's fire made any rescue approach nearly impossible. The deputies outside were close enough to understand what was happening inside and unable to do anything about it safely.
I gotta go.
Let's put together a rescue team to get that one deputy out.
Parrish, can you hear me?
As the standoff continued, officers discovered that rounds had traveled into neighboring apartments, injuring civilians who had nothing to do with the original call. The danger was no longer contained to a single unit. The focus shifted from reaching Parrish to stopping Riel before the casualty count grew further. More than 2 hours after the first shots were fired, SWAT moved in.
Let's go back. Parrish, can you hear me?
No.
By that point, the scene had become a sustained standoff. Officers working to contain Riel while the knowledge that Parrish was still inside weighed on everyone present. SWAT controlled and killed Riel. Only after that was it possible to enter and recover Deputy Parrish. 2 people died that night, Zachary Parrish and the suspect. Multiple other deputies, officers, and civilians sustained injuries. A subsequent investigation found the attack had not been impulsive. Riel had expressed a documented and sustained hatred of law enforcement through online posts prior to the incident. The case became part of a wider debate about whether authorities should have expanded capacity to temporarily remove firearms from individuals identified as high risk. The legislation connected to that discussion did not pass. Parrish did not just die in the line of duty. He died alone inside that apartment while the people who wanted to save him were pinned outside by gunfire and unable to reach him. For the officers who survived, that is the part of the call they could not leave behind. Close enough to know he needed help and no safe way to get it.
I came out of surgery. But I kept asking, how's Doyle? He's fine, he's downstairs. How's Taylor? She's fine. And then kind of when I asked about Zach, it kind of, and then finally they told me.
He was alone in that apartment. He died there alone. Even though I know I would have been killed, at least he wouldn't have been alone if I would have stayed in there with him. That's what haunts me.
3 separate clips are being presented here. They come from different locations and document different types of incidents. The first is from Syria. A man in Syria filmed the drone passing overhead. Behind the drone, a fighter jet was visible. The jet acquired the drone and fired a missile, and the footage captures the resulting explosion. What the clip documents is a military engagement between a manned aircraft and an unmanned one, recorded from the ground at close range. The second clip was recorded somewhere in Southeast Asia. The exact country has not been confirmed. The animal visible in the footage is a Eurasian wild pig, a species found across Southeast Asia. The third clip comes from Turkey. In the Turkish footage, a child ran out onto the road while her father was not watching her. The vehicle involved was traveling at a speed that was too fast for the width of the street. The combination of the street's narrowness and the speed of the car made the situation dangerous before the child entered the road, and the way she ran out would have made avoidance difficult even at a more appropriate speed for that environment. Romania contains some of Europe's most remote and visually striking natural landscapes. That remoteness brings with it a set of challenges that rarely feature in how the country is presented. The footage captures a shepherd in a direct confrontation with a bear. The bear is simultaneously engaged with the shepherd's dogs, which are pressing it from multiple sides and barking continuously. The shepherd can be heard shouting at the bear throughout the encounter. The audio is what makes the clip particularly affecting. The sound of a person shouting against an animal that size in an isolated location with no backup communicates the stakes of the situation more directly than the visuals alone. This footage comes from the Manavgat-Antalya Highway in Turkey, the road that connects those two locations. The specific area shown is near Edincik, and the conditions at the time were visibly gloomy. The overcast conditions were the result of heavy rainfall, and in hilly and mountainous terrain like this, that kind of rainfall carries predictable consequences: landslides. A person visible in the footage was caught directly in the path of one in the wrong position at the wrong moment as a slide came down. No fatalities occurred. The entire road was subsequently closed due to ongoing landslide risk and debris across the carriageway. That closure is what indicates the situation didn't end with the initial slide. The conditions that produced it were still present, and the road remained unsafe to use. In extreme sports, when a very small probability of something going wrong carries the potential for catastrophic consequences, when that probability finally materializes. A Belarusian man with approximately 500 successful dives behind him filmed what would become his final jump. When he deployed his parachute, it failed to inflate correctly and began spinning uncontrollably. He descended rapidly with a canopy that was partially collapsed and twisted, unable to correct it before impact. The injuries he sustained on landing were severe. He fell into a coma and did not survive, passing away after approximately 2 weeks of intensive medical care. The 500 prior successful jumps are the detail the case keeps returning to. That volume of experience and successful outcomes didn't reduce the probability of this specific failure or change what it produced when it happened. Very scary, just like this next clip. Oman is the only country in the Middle East with a monsoon season, a period known as the Kharif. Adverse weather conditions occur outside that season as well, producing consequences across the country.
تعال انقاذ انقاذ
Flash floods are a recurring result of that weather, and the human and infrastructure costs received significant coverage. The impact on animals is documented far less frequently. In this footage, a man spotted a cat being carried away by floodwater and moved to intervene, putting himself in the water despite the current and the risk that came with it. He worked to reach the animal and get it clear of the flood. When the current began overpowering him and holding his position became unsustainable, he threw the cat to safety before the water took full control of the situation. Mountaineering demands a specific kind of composure, the ability to hold position and make sound decisions in conditions where the margin for error is extremely narrow.
Hey. Hey, is the anchor all right?
This incident occurred in 2023 on the icy slopes of the Cordillera Blanca in the Peruvian Andes. A climber was anchored on a fixed rope and holding his position when several climbers above him lost their footing on hard ice. On steep terrain like this, even a minor loss of balance escalates quickly. Ice provides almost no friction, and once a slide begins, speed builds rapidly on a polished surface. Self-arrest with an ice axe becomes difficult or impossible when the angle is steep and the ice is hard. Fixed ropes are designed to catch falls, but when multiple people load suddenly onto the same system, the force on the anchor point and the person holding it can exceed what either was positioned to handle. The grab response is instinctive, though it carries the risk of pulling the stationary climber off the face as well. Both sliding climbers survived with minor injuries. The anchor point is what the entire sequence depended on, a single fixed position in the ice that everything else either held against or didn't. Dezful is a city in the central district of Dezful County, Khuzestan Province, Iran, and what you're about to see is crazy. The footage shows significant impacts, a visible shockwave, and substantial destruction across the area captured. According to sources, a military installation was struck. Locals in the area reported hearing at least 6 explosions. Casualty figures and damage assessments have not been confirmed. The incident is occurring within the context of an active conflict, which limits the reliability and availability of information coming from the area. Confirmed details on what was hit, how many were affected, and the full extent of the damage remain unclear at the time of the footage. Swimmers were present in the water when this event began, a detail that becomes significant once the footage plays out. The location is the Ganges River at the point where it empties into the Bay of Bengal. The Ganges estuary has a wide, shallow mouth that funnels the rising tide coming in from the bay. When that tidal bulge reaches the narrowing channel of the river, it compresses, accelerates, and builds height that the outgoing river current cannot easily absorb. The result is a sudden upstream surge, commonly called a tidal bore. where the water level jumps and the flow reverses direction with considerable force. The effect is strongest near the sea during spring tides or when the river's own discharge is relatively low, reducing the resistance the incoming seawater encounters. The water doesn't arrive gradually, it comes in as a turbulent front that cuts into the banks and pushes onto low-lying ground nearby. This is a known phenomenon in the delta, but it still catches people off guard when the surge reaches the streets. The footage shows swimmers in the river as the bore came through, people already in the water when the flow reversed and the level jumped. Sichuan, China, a province in southwestern China known for its dense population and active road network, is the location of this footage. On March 9, 2026, a pickup truck struck a parked white hatchback and a motorcycle before flipping over in front of a store. A store owner witnessed the crash and immediately called for help. Another person arrived and assisted in getting the driver out of the vehicle. The driver was unharmed. He had fallen asleep at the wheel, the cause of the entire sequence that followed. He accepted responsibility for what happened and will cover the cost of the damages. The crash, the flipped truck, the parked vehicle struck before it. All of it traces back to the moment he fell asleep before reaching that stretch of road. Footage from Central Asia captured the moment a massive section of a hillside detached and slid away in a single piece. What the video shows is a translational block slide. In arid regions, bedrock and compacted soil layers develop weak plains over time, produced by past weathering cycles, water seepage that dried out, or low-level tectonic stress accumulating in the rock. When the toe of the slope loses support through erosion or undermining, gravity pulls the block above along that pre-existing failure surface. Because the material retains cohesion and the movement follows a mostly horizontal path along the plane rather than rotating like a slump, the section can move as a single unit without breaking apart. The slide stopped before reaching the bottom. Friction along the base eventually equalized the gravitational force, or the slope angle reduced enough to arrest the movement. What remained is a visible scar on the hillside and the displaced mass sitting below its original position. On video, these events can appear gradual, but translational slides can accelerate to speeds capable of destroying anything in their path before stopping. The single-piece movement is what distinguishes this type of slide. The block's cohesion keeps it intact throughout the event in a way that other forms of slope failure don't produce. Ambato is a city in Ecuador where a rally event is held on a recurring annual basis. Rally events are not uncommon globally, but what distinguishes them from most other motorsport formats is the proximity they offer. Spectators get closer to the action than almost any other racing discipline allows.
Ya ves que abajo paga el puesto, me dice.
Espera, vení otra vez.
Sí, estamos ahí.
Está durísimo, loco. ¿Estás bien? ¿Qué pasó?
That proximity is also what creates the risk. When something goes wrong at a rally event, the people watching are often directly in the path of it. The documented record of spectator incidents at rally events, close calls, and serious outcomes alike is substantial and well established. This particular incident did not result in casualties. However, a prior event held in the same area 1 year earlier had resulted in 2 fatalities and 6 injuries. That history is what gives the recurring spectator risk at this specific location its particular way. The same roads, the same crowds, the same proximity that had already produced deaths 12 months before. Thanks for watching. Stay vigilant, friends.